Shalom Akim, Kahalayim Na Yahaba Shem Yahshua Bashim Rakakudash, and once more double honors to the great and apostles and the elder bishops, and Yaratazar that you find this video edifying and exhorting, man. Edifying meaning to build up, and exhorting meaning encouraging too, in terms of faith, having your faith rooted in Yahaba Shem Yahshua. So from the previous video, of course I named it's the part 1, Tremble ye women that are at ease. This is the part 2 to that video as well, because the guy was mentioning about his channel name being a high level nurse, in of his experience with young women, in the workplace, considering that many of them are struggling financially. And of course, I did say that I wanted to make another video because I had a second clip too, which really goes hand in hand with the first video too, because of the fact that women are struggling financially, and that single parenthood it comes with a cost. It comes with a cost, man. And not the majority of them really can't handle that intensity or that pressure as well. Of looking after children, providing for them, working all those jobs, handling bills, That's why, as I mentioned in the other video, it's ideal to also have a man. The same way the man needs Yahweh Shem Yahshua, the same way we need Yahweh Shem Yahshua, the same way the woman needs the man as well in order to guide them, So in that time, we all gonna get humbled. We already are getting humbled, in our own ways right now. But in that time, that would be the pinnacle of humbling, where all those things which gives pride or feeds the ego of the flesh will be stripped off us because of the MOTB. By rejecting it, all of that's going to be stripped away, and then we're just going to be relying on Yahweh Shem Yahshua. That's for the men, and of course for the women. Eventually, the Most High going to link you up with a man, a man of Yahweh Shem Yahshua, and then you'll be fine. That's just a conclusion there. So, anyways, this is an example of one of those struggling women as well. You got a whole load of them over here in the UK, but of course it's everywhere, and it's part of the curses. But prior to that, let's see. Let me get a preset first, and then I'm gonna continue. All right, so that was what I read last time. Let's see, Ecclesiastes 12 and verse 13. So Ecclesiastes 12 and verse 13, let us hear the conclusion of the whole matter. Fear the Most High and keep his commandments, for this is the whole duty of man. Verse 14, for the Most High shall bring every work into judgment with every secret thing, whether it be good or whether it be evil. That's why, man, woman, we ought to play our roles, we ought to play our responsibilities. Men, being the prophets and teachers of Yahweh Shem Yahshua, servant of Yahweh Shem Yahshua, we do our role, and then the women, they play their role onto their husbands as well, and what they can do to assist their man. So again, let us hear the conclusion of the whole matter. Ecclesiastes 12 and 13. Let us hear the conclusion of the whole matter. Fear the Most High, keep his commandments, for this is the whole duty of man. His commandments are written within the scriptures, and that's how we reason, and that's how we behave. That's what our behavior is rooted from. From the training up, from the words of Yahweh Shem Yahshua. Remember, we're referred to as children of Israel, and the scriptures talk about train up a child the way he should go. So the Most High is training up us the way we should have been, from a long time, but of course we fell off, because it's a learning process, considering this flesh as well. But it's a learning process for Israel when you go on the disobedient side or disobedient path to Yahweh Shem Yahshua. But in the kingdom, we're going to be perfected. Of course, when getting that salvation, Yaharazazah, that we get, and we will not sin anymore. Which sin is the weakness. Sin is the weakness, which is the transgression of the law. Let me get that transgression law. 1 John 3 and 4, whosoever committeth sin transgresseth also the law, for sin is the transgression of the law. So if you want to talk about the definition of sin, 1 John 3 and 4 says it. For sin is the transgression of the law. That disobedience against the word of the Most High, Yahweh. Of course, Bahashim Yahushua, through Yahushua, who reinstituted, they came to defend the law. You disobey that, there will be consequences. Anyways, let's get to this video.
The Prime Minister has promised never to let working people.
As it says on the right side, cost of living. I voted Labour. Now I feel worse off, and that's Eve talking there, man. So let me see this. Yeah, man, I'm gonna just let the video play.
Pay the price for an uncontrolled economy again. Yet millions of people across the UK are still facing soaring bills, stagnant wages and debt.
I sat down with Sir Keir Starmer yesterday afternoon after his Labour Party conference speech, in which he only made one reference to the cost of living crisis. And I told him about Rhonda, a single mum who works up to 50 hours a week to help cover her costs and her bills. She voted for the very first time during last year's general election, and she chose Labour, believing the party would improve her living standards. She says she now feels worse off. She won't vote Labour again.
I know all of this, again, is just rooted in the lack of understanding. Hosea 4 and verse 6, and my people are destroyed because of lack of knowledge, man. Knowledge of the scriptures, man. That's what we needed. Of course, that was stripped away from us, and then we're now relearning it for those of us in this truth, in this ministry. So oh no, I was gonna get a precept, but sometimes a precept just goes up your mind when you're talking. Let me hear it again, and then I'll remember.
The party would improve her living standards.
Oh yeah, that's the one. But yeah, they had knowledge to know that we're not supposed to be appointing a darn heathen, a darn stranger, to rule over us. You wouldn't be bothered to be flipping voting, which is, again, is just two sides to the same coin. You think, okay, if you vote this party, this might happen. That's how they sell it to you. If you vote that party, that could happen. Oh, that looks good. That sounds good. And all that nonsense, which is just mumbo jumbo, just to influence you and make you think that you're actually having an impact when you're not. It's all an illusion. So Deuteronomy 17 and 15, thou shalt in any wise set him king over thee, whom the Lord Yahweh thy power shall choose, one from among thy brethren. So the ruler has to be an Israelite. Shalt thou set over thee, that shalt thou set king over thee. Thou mayest not set a stranger over thee, which is not thy brother. In the NLT makes it even clearer, where it says, let me read from verse 14. So Deuteronomy 17 and 14 in the NLT now, New Living Translation, it's on the right side. You are about to enter the land the Lord Yahweh your power is giving you. When you take it over and settle there, you may think we should select a king to rule over us, like the other nations around us. Verse 15. If this happens, be sure to select as king the man of the Lord Yahweh your power chooses. So the Most High has got to appoint the king. You must appoint a fellow Israelite. He may not be a foreigner. So you can't have a heathen ruling over you. We're in the land of our captivity. We ain't gonna flipping cast a fundamentally the vote don't even matter anyways. You think it matters, but it doesn't. The impact is whatever Esau says goes, not whatever the democracy, the so-called democracy, democratical system that's implemented, man. It's all an illusion. That's why people keep quoting Matrix with Dio as well. Because, yeah, people are living in the Matrix right now, metaphorically speaking, of course. Let's continue.
She chose Labour, believing the party would improve her living standards. She says she now feels worse off. She
Believe in the lie. Anyways, let me let the video play for a bit, then I'm gonna get more precepts.
won't vote Labour again. Let's take a listen to what the Prime Minister had to say, and then we'll get Rhonda's reaction.
I say to Rhonda that I absolutely understand the pressures that are bearing down on her, and I'm determined to change that.
How's that going to make her feel better?
Just hear me out. On food bills, for example, we work really hard to get an agreement with the EU that will mean that food bills will go down because it'll be much easier to transport those over borders. Every supermarket welcomed that deal because they knew that bills will go down.
Food inflation is way above inflation.
That is why,
and inflation is almost twice your target rate.
That's why we're taking the measures to bring those bills down, which
People
is
like
what
Rhonda,
the agreement
she's in
with
arrears.
the EU.
She can't wait for these things to
that.
happen. She voted for change, and she hasn't got it.
Energy bills, obviously, we have got a scheme in place to bring bills down for millions of families, not everybody, I accept, and we will do other measures to bring those bills down.
Energy bills have gone up, Prime Minister.
I appreciate that, and our job is to bring them down.
All he's saying, he's just filling up space with words, man. You know, that's why they say, as the saying goes, actions speak louder than words. You know, actions speak louder than words, man. Because he's saying one thing, but the promises aren't being fulfilled. All that salesmanship that was happening during the time of the UK vote election before Starmer then came in, I believe 2024. The thing is, all that was just filling up space with words. It's just cast the leash, let them think this is gonna happen, like a darn fishing hook with food for the fish. The fish, of course, representing the people. You know, Jake in the world, in the UK economy specifically, UK society, I should say. You know, let me play this advert, and then this is one of them unskippable adverts. But yeah, man, I actually discovered something as well. Let's see if I can search up another thing, just to make sure. All right, let's listen to this.
We find out that energy bills are going to rise again. So Rhonda joins us now in the studio. Thank you very much indeed for coming in, Rhonda. It's really fascinating, your case, because I would say for, you know, many people watching, you represent a sort of typical story. Yeah. You voted for change.
Now, let me show you something quickly. Hold on. You know, his name is Keir Starmer, right? His name is Keir Starmer. We're going to get deep into this. Not too deep, but we're going to get into it. Just hold on. All right. Because of course, again, name of the Prime Minister being Keir Starmer. Actually, hold on. Let me do one more thing. Hold on. All right, cool. So, again, this is the Prime Minister of the UK, Keir Starmer. You see his name right there around the top left of this screen. Keir Starmer, Prime Minister of the United Kingdom since 2024, which is when the election happened. And of course, the establishment of the Labour Party happened as well. So again, this is just for me to show you, you know, this is the guy. That's his name on the top left, Keir Starmer. Now watch this. Etymology of Keir. It says in the AI overview, it says the name Keir has Scottish Gaelic origins, which is the language of the Scots, derived from the word Sia, meaning, or Kia, you know, in terms of its pronunciation, meaning dark or dusky. That's the key part that's needed. You know, so it says dark or dusky. You can relate that to his own nature as well, considering that he's going to be the one to further the agenda of the MOTB2. You know, because this is just one stepping stone, especially considering the digital ID. It's a lot, okay, for the little tangent, but we're going to get into this. Then if you go further and even research his surname, it says, if you type etymology of Starmer in, you know, Google or whatever, in the AI overview, it says the surname Starmer is an English habitational surname with multiple possible origins. It says it is primarily derived from the Old English personal name storm, genitive, storms, combined with worth, meaning enclosure. Enclosure. So overall, his name means dark enclosure. When something encloses something, it's like an entrapment. You know, it surrounds it, it wraps it around. Let's even get the definition of that. Define enclosure. We're gonna get clarity on this, man. Clarity. So, enclosure, it said the act of enclosing, the state of being enclosed, something enclosed. All right. It says in the Cambridge Dictionary, an area surrounded by fences or walls. So even just by let's see the definition of enclosed. So it says to surround on all sides. It says to close in. So Keir Starmer, dark enclosures is literally the etymology of his name. Dark enclosure. Does not the scriptures talk about he causeth all? So, you know, considering Nero's over there in America, you got Keir Starmer over here, it's that they're going, things going to speed up, man, because the nature even of the name of Keir Starmer, it literally means dark enclosure when you actually get to the depth. So you have to, you know, you comprehend what I'm saying. Again, etymology of Keir, search it up yourself. The AI overview is going to give you the meaning dark. It says here dark or dusky. And that refers to the nature of Keir as well. Another one, his surname, Starmer. You know, it says combined with worth, storm, genitive storms, combined with worth, meaning enclosure, which is the key word here, enclosure. So he has a dark enclosure that he wants to put upon the UK. And it's kind of ironic considering the digital ID will be a dark enclosure. And it's just going to get darker and darker, darker until the MOTB is there. And then that's when the line's going to be drawn. So, you know, you have to know you're comprehending. So his name literally means Keir Starmer. This bloke over here, excuse the accent, because that's how certain British folk do be speaking. Keir Starmer over here, his name literally means dark enclosure. You know? So in the spirit, it makes sense. Look at him. It makes sense, but this guy's gonna, you know, aid in that MOTB system being strengthened, being established. So, you know, watch out for him. And that's over here in the UK. Then you got Trump over there, Nero over there in America. That's gonna make those executive orders and, you know, things of which will help to establish this B system and the MOTB. So, anyways, that's that done. Let's get back to the video.
Obviously, we have got a scheme in place to bring bills down for millions of families. Not everybody, I accept.
So how can you darn expect, you know, a benefit from the Labour Party when you have a guy whose name literally goes back to dark enclosure, man? You know, people's names are like a reflection of the nature of their spirit, you know? That's why they say choose your names wisely, because you're going to start reflecting the vibration of that name. You know, that's why Jake always, especially I remember in Nigeria, you know, you always have like the miracle, you know, just names of positivity, like, you know, prosperity, success, favor. I think there was a guy in school as well over here in the UK. The guy was called Prince, man. You know, so, you know, Jake knows what's up when it comes to naming their children. You know, even in the local dialect as well. You know, there's meanings to the certain names, certain traditional names in Nigeria as well. You know, that always pertain to the Most High most of the time. You know, but over here, you got this guy with a name that means dark enclosure. Anyways, let's continue.
And we will do other measures to bring those bills down.
Energy bills have gone up, Prime Minister.
I appreciate that, and our job is to bring them down.
Well, this morning...
Yeah, down into the dark enclosure. I might rinse that drip for quite a bit.
We find out that energy bills are going to rise again. So Rhonda joins us now in the studio. Thank you very much indeed for coming in, Rhonda. It's really fascinating, your case, because I would say for, you know, many people watching, you represent a sort of typical story.
Yeah.
You voted for change. You wanted your living standards to improve. And more than a year on, how are you feeling?
Terrible. Overworked, underpaid, and little family life left now.
You see? Just as the other guy in the part 1 of this, Tremble You Women, part 1, there was mentioned that women are struggling, man. Financially, they're struggling. Because of that single parenthood as well. And this is an example of that.
You work a lot.
Now, of course, we don't know the backstory. It could have been a man that had an evil spirit upon him. You don't know. You don't know. Part of the curses, and you don't know what could happen. At the same time, it could have been her fault too. It could have been her fault too. You got to see the both ways here in terms of the balance. It's not always okay. It's the evil spirit upon the woman. Yeah. Certain cases, yes, it is actually an evil spirit upon the woman. But there's still those cases where it'll be an evil spirit upon the man. Kind of like that story of Nabal and his wife. First Samuel. It's in one of the chapters after chapter 20. One of those chapters, man. Funnily enough, his name meant foolish as well. So he made foolish decisions. See, this is why you gotta be careful what you name your children, man. Alright, let's continue. Actually, prior to continuing, let's get some more precepts here. Let's get some more precepts. Yeah, to find a video edifying especially and exhorting to build up your knowledge, man. Imagine a guy named Dark Enclosure. I discovered that today, man. I ain't gonna lie, I discovered that today. Now, Deuteronomy 28 and 29. These are the curses, by the way, for Israel. And thou shalt grope at the noonday. Grope means to search out something with your hands. Let's say in the dark, you're searching for something with your hands, trying to navigate the place. So thou shalt grope at the noonday as the blind gropeth in darkness, and thou shalt not prosper in thy ways, and thou shalt be only oppressed and spoiled evermore, and no man shall save thee. Now, of course, it says thou shalt not prosper in thy ways, and yeah, that this is a reflection. And there was a point in time where Jake was really struggling, man. In that captivity, transatlantic slave trade, the Latin tribe as well, in terms of their slavery that they instituted. Obviously from the Europeans, Britain, France, Portuguese, Spain as well. And it was made to Spain, France, and British when it came to Gad and Reuben, the Native American Indians, Seminole Indians, being Reubenites. So yeah, man, that's thou shalt not prosper in thy ways, and thou shalt be only oppressed and spoiled evermore, and no man shall save you. Now, of course, the curses are being lifted up. The Most High is having more mercy. And of course, an example of the mercy is the fact that we're still able to work for our bread as well. Work for our daily bread. So that is a mercy in itself, despite the enemy still being over us, because we ain't in our land yet. So we're still under captivity technically. Just because you have certain comforts right now doesn't mean that you're not in captivity. It's just a different form of warfare, or a different form of oppression, mental, psychological oppression more so. And even in certain societal things, societal laws that Esau institutes, it's to restrict Jake as well. Now let's get another precept here. Scroll down to verse 41. We'll just get the key ones. Deuteronomy 28 and verse... Hold on. Alright, Deuteronomy 28 and verse 41. Thou shalt beget sons and daughters. Actually, hold on. Before I read that, I've got to play some of this first.
Little family life left now.
You work a lot of hours every week, don't you? Tell us about your bills.
Well, basically, my rent is £1,250 a month. I'm currently in arrears of about £600, facing eviction because of that.
And also, when you're paying that amount of rent, she's probably under private property, man. Because obviously council housing is a bit more cheaper than that. Way cheaper, I should say, way cheaper. So then she's facing eviction, man. So that's the struggle that she's going through. Under these private landlords, man. And of course, those rents are increasing too. if you look at the property market. Over here in the UK, though.
My private rent, so I've worked all my life, so 2 or 3 jobs. So, nothing seems to be... I'm currently in arrears of about...
Yeah, she just said she privately rents, so of course it's a landlord, and then she pays the rent, man. That's why it's much higher than the council houses, man. Which council houses are just like the houses where majority of Jakes be, especially they probably spent their whole childhood there. I myself being a testament to that. But with the council houses, they're more affordable, for certain individuals. And yeah, man. Not to talk too much about that, but yeah, that's the point.
£600 facing eviction because of that. I private rent, so I've worked all my life, so 2 or 3 jobs. So, nothing seems to be changing. Council tax has gone up, and so is my rent, and I'm facing eviction for £650 arrears.
And what about that's a dreadful situation to be in, and I'm very sorry for you that you're in that situation. When you hear the Prime Minister says, well, he's trying to get the bills down, it doesn't help you now, does it?
No, it's not, because I've had to actually come off of universal credit because you're capped on how much you can earn. So it's better to get 2 or 3 jobs. I also do...
Yeah, that's quite a bit she said there. Yeah, universal credit, just see it as the welfare system to support individuals here in the UK. For those of you in America that could be watching this video, those brothers in America, man. This is just just see it as a welfare system to support individuals. Let's say you work on a job, you're not able to make rent. Universal credit gives you some extra money to be able to make rent and these other bills. If you got children, they give you more money. If you ain't got children, you get less, but they still support nevertheless. But the point is, you got to be working and showing that, okay, I'm actually trying to get more money now. And when eventually, if you then earn more money than a threshold, then you're pretty much told to get off universal credit, man, or they just stop paying you. You could probably linger there, and then yeah. Point is, you earn more than a threshold, they don't pay you, they don't help you. Universal credit over here in the UK. If you earn less than a threshold, it's then they'll help you. I think the threshold is around like 1,000 and something pounds. It's in the low thousands. But anyways, that's a topic for another day. Not to get into too many details. But yeah, so she left universal credit and she's working 3 jobs. Hold on, let's hear that.
It says, well, he's trying to get the bills down. It doesn't help you now, does it?
No, it's not, because I've had to actually come off of universal credit because you're capped on how much you can earn. So it's better to get 2 or 3 jobs. I also do life coaching, just to get an extra income to get back on top of my arrears.
And the fact that you're working extra hours in order to get extra money in order to pay off your bills means you've now breached the threshold for universal credit.
Mm-hmm.
What would you say to the Prime Minister, having listened to what he said to you?
He said about childcare, but he's talking about babies. My son's 12 years old, and there isn't any childcare. We live in Watford alone. We were forced to move out of London because of the cost of London, and now we're in Watford, struggling.
You're referencing the fact that whenever the Prime Minister is asked about what the government is doing for working people, he references the hours of childcare that the Labour government has provided. But as you say, that's fine if you've got children in that age. But
exactly.
Your son is older than that.
Exactly. I don't get free school meals. I don't get anything. So I've got to actually do 50 hours a week, I work in domestic violence. I've worked in the job centre for 14 years, As soon as they brought in universal credit, you just think it's not going to help anybody.
It's not going to help anyone.
Where can I get the best coffee around here?
Give me a minute and I'll text you an address, okay? Hey man, welcome to Ninja Alex Cafe. All the guesswork, gone.
But yeah,
whatever I feel like.
That's the point, man. Women are struggling.
All your parts.
Women are struggling, man. That's why they're going to need a man
Anybody.
in this time to come. And she was talking about her children there. Let's read this. Deuteronomy 28 and verse 41. Thou shalt beget sons and daughters, but thou shalt not enjoy them, for they shall go into captivity. And that's a form of captivity as well, man. children struggling under the parents as well. You know, you're not able to eat as much as you like because you got to save money, and it's a hustle. It's a hustle. So Deuteronomy 28 and verse 41 in the NLT, New Living Translation, you will have sons and daughters, but you will lose them, for they will be led away into captivity. So, of course, during the transatlantic slave trade, the Latin tribe, I forgot the name of that. I think it's the trilateral or something, trilateral slave trade. But anyways, I'm just speculating. Yaris I gotta do. I'm gonna get more deeper into it when I make more videos on the Latin tribe history. So, for they will be led away in captivity, man. And of course, we are in the land of our captivity. Let's get 43. Deuteronomy 28 and verse 43. The stranger that is within thee shall get up above thee very high, and thou shalt come down very low. This is verse 44. He shall lend to thee, and thou shalt not lend to him. He shall be the head, and thou shalt be the tail. And that's why Jake is in that subordinate mindset. You know, Eve, Jake being in that subordinate mindset, thinking that, oh, if we vote, this might change our futures. No, it won't. You're in your enemy's lands. Wake up to reality. Feels as though that's a movie quote. But anyways, that's the point there. Let me see what else she's gonna say. You know what? To be fair, she said, let's play a little bit.
It's not going to help anybody.
We said in the intro that this election last year was the first time you had voted in a general election. You hadn't voted in 2019, 2017, 2015 when you could have voted. What was the reason?
Okay, so that means she weren't voting before, and then she just decided all of a sudden to start voting all of a sudden. She probably got into the illusion that voting actually helps when it doesn't help.
Compared to
we already read that in Deuteronomy 2017 and 15. You got to appoint a leader amongst yourselves, Israel, which our leader is really Yahushua. That's our leader. That's the one who's going to save us. That's the one on whom we put our trust in. Yahweh Bahashem Yahushua. Not flipping, not these Edomites over here, man.
Past elections, you thought 2024 was the time to vote. And why did you vote for Labour? And I guess, why do you feel let down by what was promised?
Well, I come from a working class family. All of my family worked really hard. So I remember when I was younger, my grandmother and my mother, there was always help from the Labour Party, and the Conservatives were more for people with mortgages and everything like that, So I thought this time we need help for the single people. Everybody's struggling. All my friends are struggling. We need help. So I thought I'd vote.
Struggle. There's that word again. Just like the part 1. High level nurse, high value nurse. That's the name of his channel. The women be struggling, man. The curses be thrown out. Yeah. Alright, I'm a rapper. I'm gonna link the rest of the video and I'm gonna link the video so you can watch the rest of it in the description. Okay. And wrap up with the scripture. And we are out of here. Deuteronomy 20. Oh, hold on, it's in the same chapter. So let's say verse 48. Alright, yep. Deuteronomy 28 and verse 48. Therefore shalt thou serve thine enemies, which the Lord Yahweh shall send against thee in hunger, and in thirst, and in nakedness, and in want of all things. You see, Jake desires, some fairness, some justice, some support, some aid. And it says, in the want of all things. But of course, because of their lack of knowledge, because if they knew about Yahweh Shem Yahshua, their power, Jay will say, he'll tell Esau, get up, man. Jay go revolt throughout the whole world and just commit to Yahweh Shem Yahshua. But anyways, of course, the Most High's story is what plays out. Most High's will is what's done. And in nakedness and in want of all things, and he shall put a yoke of iron upon thy neck until he have destroyed thee. See, and that yoke of iron can come in different forms, man, in order to put Jake down in society, economically, of course, financially, of course, as I said, socially just now, and many aspects of things. All right, but remember, This is another reason why we shouldn't trust our enemy, man. Job 13 and 9. What was it? Hold on. 4? Yeah. Job 13 and 4. But ye are forgers of lies. Ye are all physicians of no value. You see, remember dark enclosure. That might even be the code for him if that ever became a thing where you can't say his name no more. Dark enclosure, Keir Starmer, he was forging lies, man. Making false promises. He wasn't fulfilling them. And you know, if you voted him in, and these other Israelites out there that voted in the UK that voted Keir Starmer in, voted Labour, they ain't got no knowledge, man. They fell for the lie, for the forged lie, which is the key part of the verse I'm trying to emphasize here. Dark enclosure, man. With a name like that, of course he's gonna forge lies, man, to entrap Jake. But anyways, we're gonna leave it at that. Shalom. Yabashim Shabrakatha. Once more, double on Instagrams and apostles and the elder bishops. Shalom.